Admiral Kira Chen stood at the observation deck of the Lunar Defense Station Alpha, her eyes fixed on the holographic display showing thousands of unknown objects decelerating at the edge of the solar system. The objects had appeared 3 days ago, their energy signatures unlike anything humanity had encountered in its centuries of space exploration. Behind her, the soft hum of quantum processors filled the otherwise silent room. "They're not even trying to mask their approach," Lieutenant Marcus Rodriguez noted, his fingers dancing across the neural interface terminal. "Either they're incredibly confident or they think we're not worth the effort," Chen finished, a slight smile playing at the corners of her mouth. She'd spent the last 15 years helping prepare humanity for this moment, and now it had finally arrived. The Zyraxian Empire's first contact transmission had reached Earth 6 months ago. Their message was simple: submit or be conquered. The alien civilization had expected Earth's immediate surrender, given their apparent technological superiority. Instead, they'd received silence. What the Zyraxians couldn't know, was that humanity had been preparing for this moment for over a century. The discovery of the Prometheus signal in 2157 had changed everything. A distant alien transmission that revealed the existence of hostile expansionist empires in the galaxy. Since then, Earth had devoted itself to developing countermeasures that no spacefaring race would expect. "Status report on the mesh," Chen asked, her eyes still fixed on the approaching fleet. Rodriguez's hands moved across his interface. "The quantum-entangled nanomesh is fully deployed throughout the solar system. Zero detection from their scans. They still think we're limited to primitive radio communications and chemical rockets." Chen nodded, remembering the classified briefings about humanity's true technological achievements. While the world maintained a carefully crafted facade of early space-age technology, the reality was far different. The nanomesh was just one example. Quintillions of quantum-entangled particles spread throughout the solar system, capable of instant communication and coordination across vast distances, completely undetectable to conventional sensors. "Signal from the Zyraxian flagship," another officer announced. "They're broadcasting on all frequencies." The holographic display shifted, revealing the imposing figure of Supreme Commander Voxthor of the Zyraxian Empire. His crystalline exoskeleton gleamed with bioluminescent patterns, a sign of his high rank in their militaristic society. "People of Earth," the alien's translated voice resonated through the command center. "Your silence has been noted as defiance. The Zyraxian Empire does not tolerate defiance. You will witness the consequences of your choice." Chen exchanged glances with her senior staff. Everything was proceeding exactly as expected. The Zyraxians, like most spacefaring races, relied heavily on faster-than-light technology and energy weapons. They had no concept of the alternatives humanity had developed. "Deploy Phase 1, Chen ordered calmly. Throughout the solar system, invisible changes began to occur. The quantum nanomesh shifted, creating microscopic distortions in space-time. To the Zyraxian fleet, it would appear as if nothing had changed. Their sensors, designed to detect energy weapons and conventional defenses, were blind to the subtle manipulations of reality itself. The first sign that something was wrong came when a Zyraxian scout ship attempted to jump to a closer position. The ship initiated its FTL drive, but instead of appearing at its intended destination, it simply vanished. Then another disappeared, and another. On the command deck of his flagship, Supreme Commander Voxthor received increasingly panicked reports. His scout ships weren't just being destroyed. They were being removed from existence in a way their sensors couldn't even detect. "Impossible," he muttered, his bioluminescent patterns flickering with agitation. "They are primitives. They barely have orbital stations." The Zyraxian fleet pressed forward, their formation tightening as more ships vanished. Their energy weapons powered up, preparing to rain destruction upon Earth. But Chen and her team watched calmly as the nanomesh continued its work, creating microscopic black holes that lasted just long enough to swallow ships whole before evaporating, leaving no trace. "Sir," Rodriguez reported, The enemy fleet is adapting. They're attempting to analyze the disappearances. Chen nodded. They won't find anything. You can't detect quantum entanglement effects if you don't know to look for them. Proceed with Phase 2. The remaining Xeraxian ships suddenly found their FTL drives completely inoperable. The quantum mesh had created a field of distorted spacetime around them, making faster-than-light travel impossible. They were trapped in normal space, their greatest advantage neutralized. Message from Supreme Commander Voxthor, an officer announced. They're demanding an explanation. Chen straightened her uniform and stepped forward. Put him through. The alien commander's image appeared again, his crystalline features rigid with barely controlled rage. What trickery is this? Show yourselves, cowards. Supreme Commander, Chen replied calmly, we are humanity. We chose silence not out of fear, but to give you a chance to reconsider your actions. You assumed our primitive appearance meant we were defenseless. That assumption was incorrect. Impossible, Voxthor snarled. Your species barely has spaceflight. We've monitored your development for decades. Chen allowed herself a small smile. You monitored what we wanted you to see. Humanity learned long ago that the greatest advantage is letting others underestimate you. Now, you have a choice. Retreat, and we will allow your remaining ships to leave our system. Stay, and we will demonstrate more of our capabilities. The command center fell silent as they waited for the Xeraxian response. Chen knew this was just the beginning. Whether Voxthor retreated or not, the galaxy would soon learn that humanity was far more than it appeared. The age of hiding was over. In the vast darkness of space, the remaining Xeraxian ships hung motionless, their powerful weapons useless against an enemy they couldn't understand or detect. And around them, invisible to their sensors, the quantum mesh waited for humanity's next command. Supreme Commander Voxthor's response came in the form of plasma torpedoes. Brilliant streams of energy burst from the remaining Xeraxian warships, streaking toward Earth's atmosphere. Admiral Chen watched the display with practiced calm, even as her bridge crew tensed around her. They never learn, she murmured. Activate the quantum mirror defense grid. The plasma torpedoes never reached their targets. Instead, they encountered invisible barriers of warped spacetime, their energy redirected through microscopic wormholes. The Xeraxians watched in disbelief as their own weapons emerged behind their fleet, forcing their ships to scatter to avoid friendly fire. Fascinating, Dr. Sarah Patel remarked from her station in the quantum physics lab, several levels below the command center. They're still relying on conventional physics. No understanding of dimensional manipulation at all. Chen's voice came through the lab's communication system. Doctor, are we ready for the next phase? The biosynthetic AI is primed and ready, Patel confirmed, her hands moving across a console that displayed complex patterns of quantum entanglement. Though I still think it's a bit theatrical. What happened next would be recorded in Xeraxian military history as the Ghost Fleet incident. Throughout their formation, perfect replicas of their own ships began to appear, mirror images created by the quantum mesh's ability to manipulate light and matter at the subatomic level. The copies were indistinguishable from the originals, down to their energy signatures. By the first crystal, Voxthor growled, watching as his tactical display became cluttered with duplicate signatures. How are they doing this? His crew scrambled to distinguish real ships from the phantoms, their sensors unable to tell the difference. In the lunar defense station, Lieutenant Rodriguez allowed himself a small grin. They're trying to use quantum scanning to identify the real ships. Should we show them why that's a mistake? Chen nodded. Initiate the entanglement cascade. The quantum mesh responded instantly. Every attempt by the Xeraxians to scan their surroundings created new quantum entanglements, exponentially increasing the number of phantom ships. Soon, their tactical displays showed thousands of identical vessels, making coordinated action impossible. This is impossible. Voxthor's voice boomed across all frequencies. What manner of weapons are these? Not weapons, Supreme Commander, Chen replied calmly. tools. We chose to develop technology that your people never considered because you were too focused on destruction. While you perfected ways to tear reality apart, we learned to weave it. Deep in the quantum physics lab, Dr. Patil monitored the increasing complexity of the entanglement field. Admiral, they're attempting to break through using concentrated tachyon bursts. Shall we show them our response to that particular strategy? Chen's smile was audible in her voice. Proceed, Doctor. Let's demonstrate why quantum entanglement isn't just for defense. The biosynthetic AI, a hybrid of organic quantum computing and artificial consciousness, began its work. As the Ziraxians fired their tachyon bursts, each particle became entangled with the mesh. Instead of disrupting Earth's defenses, they created new connections, expanding humanity's control over the battlefield. Warning, a Ziraxian officer reported to Voxathor, fear evident in his voice. Our tachyon emissions are being reflected back, but changed. They're carrying data patterns we can't decode. The biosynthetic AI was using the Ziraxians' own weapons as a transmission medium, infiltrating their systems with quantum algorithms that operated outside the bounds of their computational understanding. Ship after ship began reporting system failures, their advanced computers unable to process commands that existed in quantum superposition. Fascinating, Dr. Patel commented, watching the data streams. Their technology is actually quite advanced, just linear. They never considered the possibilities of quantum biology or conscious computing. In his flagship, Voxathor faced a decision he'd never encountered in centuries of military service. His fleet was intact but effectively blind and paralyzed. The humans hadn't destroyed a single ship since their initial demonstration, yet they had rendered his forces completely impotent. Commander, his second-in-command approached cautiously. The humans are sending another transmission. Chen's image appeared on their command screen, her expression professional, but not unkind. Supreme Commander, what you're experiencing is only a fraction of our capabilities. We could have destroyed your fleet, but we chose not to. Consider this a demonstration of restraint, not weakness. You dare lecture me about restraint? Voxathor's bioluminescence flared with anger. The Ziraxian Empire does not retreat. No one is asking you to retreat, Chen replied. We're inviting you to learn. Your empire is conquered through superior firepower for so long that you've forgotten there are other paths to advancement. Look at your fleet, disabled not by weapons, but by knowledge you never thought to pursue. Dr. Patel's voice interrupted through Chen's private channel. Admiral, we're detecting unusual quantum fluctuations from their flagship. I think they're attempting to replicate our technology. Chen's expression remained neutral, but inwardly she smiled. This was exactly what Earth's scientists had predicted and hoped for. The Ziraxians' response to this encounter would determine humanity's next steps. Your species, Voxathor said slowly, his anger giving way to something like curiosity. You hid your true nature from us. Why? Because, Supreme Commander, Chen responded. Sometimes the best way to teach is to let others discover the truth for themselves. Your sensors are already detecting possibilities you never imagined. The question is, what will you do with this knowledge? The quantum mesh hummed silently through space, maintaining its web of possibility and potential, while two civilizations stood at the brink of either understanding or annihilation. The next move would determine not just the outcome of this confrontation, but the future of both species. The Great Hall of the Ziraxian High Command erupted in chaos. Supreme Commander Voxathor's report had sent shockwaves through the crystalline chamber, its walls reflecting the agitated bioluminescence of dozens of high-ranking officers. Impossible. High Admiral Khazar slammed his reinforced appendage against the strategic display. These primitives cannot possess such technology. Your sensors must have malfunctioned. Voxathor's holographic image flickered as he maintained the long-distance transmission from Earth's orbit. The evidence is undeniable. They've developed technology along a completely different evolutionary path than ours. Our understanding of physics, it may be incomplete. In Lunar Defense Station Alpha, Admiral Chen, and her team monitored the Xeraxian communication. Their quantum mesh had expanded far enough to intercept even the most secure alien transmissions, translating them in real time through the biosynthetic AI. They're mobilizing their reserve fleets, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported, his neural interface streaming tactical data. Multiple quantum signatures detected at the edge of our monitoring range. Dr. Patel's voice came through the command center's communication system. Admiral, you need to see this. The biosynthetic AI has detected something fascinating in their transmissions. Chen descended to the quantum physics lab, where holographic displays showed complex patterns of energy and matter interaction. Dr. Patel stood in the center, her expression animated with scientific excitement. Look at these patterns. She pointed to swirling data streams. The Xeraxians aren't just discussing military response. Their scientists are already attempting to reverse engineer our quantum technology based on the little they've seen. They're adaptive, learning at an incredible rate. Is this a threat? Chen asked, studying the displays. No, Patel smiled. It's an opportunity. Remember the Prometheus signal? It didn't just warn us about hostile empires. It showed us that the greatest threat to galactic civilization wasn't weapons. It was stagnation. Species following the same technological paths, fighting the same wars, making the same mistakes. Back in the Xeraxian High Command, the debate had turned heated. We cannot allow this humiliation to stand, High Admiral Khazar declared. I am deploying the crystalline armée. We will show these humans the true might of the Empire. Wait. Vox Thor's voice carried unexpected authority. There's something else you need to understand. The humans, they're not using their technology as we would. They could have destroyed us at any moment. But instead, they're teaching. Teaching. Khazar's bioluminescence flared with derision. We are the Xeraxian Empire. We do not need lessons from primitives. In that moment, sensors across Xeraxian space began detecting anomalies. The quantum mesh, far more extensive than they had realized, had been quietly expanding through their territory for months. Not as a weapon, but as a network of knowledge. Dr. Patel monitored the expansion with satisfaction. The biosynthetic AI is already establishing communication with their research facilities. Their younger scientists are particularly receptive. They're beginning to understand the possibilities of quantum biology, conscious computing, dimensional engineering. And their military? Chen asked. Still resistant, Rodriguez reported from above. The Crystalline Armada is preparing for departure. 5,000 ships, their most powerful fleet. Chen nodded thoughtfully. They need to learn one final lesson about the nature of power. Dr. Patel, is the Prometheus protocol ready? Yes, Admiral. Though I still find it somewhat ironic that our greatest defensive system is named after a signal that warned us of war. The Crystalline Armada emerged from FTL at the edge of the Sol system, a vast array of ships that stretched across space like a constellation of artificial stars. High Admiral Khazar stood proudly on his command bridge, certain that this display of overwhelming force would finally break the humans' inexplicable confidence. What happened next would reshape the galaxy's understanding of warfare forever. As the Armada advanced, the quantum mesh activated the Prometheus protocol. Instead of attacking the ships, it began rewriting the very laws of physics in localized spaces around them. Weapons refused to fire, not because they were damaged, but because the fundamental forces they relied on simply ceased to function. What sorcery is this? Khazar demanded as his mighty fleet found itself bound by new rules of reality it couldn't comprehend. Not sorcery. Chen's voice came through on all frequencies. Evolution. Your empire has spent millennia perfecting the art of destruction. We chose a different path. We learned to change the game entirely. Dr. Patel's voice joined the transmission. Your weapons don't work because the physical laws they depend on no longer apply in your space. We're not destroying your ships. We're introducing you to new possibilities of existence. In the Xeraxian High Command, Vox Thor watched the incident unfold through his neural feed. The mighty Crystalline Armada, pride of the Empire, hung helpless in space. Not broken, not defeated, but transformed into a testament to their own limitations. The humans, he addressed the stunned chamber. They're not trying to win a war. They're trying to break a cycle. The Prometheus signal warned them about us, yes, but it also showed them a way forward, a path beyond endless conflict. As if to emphasize his words, the quantum mesh began sharing scientific data with every ship in the Armada. Not military secrets, but fundamental insights into the nature of reality that the Ziraxians had never considered. The biosynthetic AI had determined this was the moment when their civilization was most ready to learn, when their greatest strength had been revealed as their greatest limitation. In the depths of the Lunar Defense Station's quantum physics lab, Dr. Patel watched in fascination as new data patterns emerged across her holographic displays. The biosynthetic AI was registering unprecedented levels of quantum activity from the Ziraxian fleet. "Admiral," she called out, "you need to see this. They're not just learning, they're adapting." Chen arrived moments later, her expression thoughtful as she studied the swirling patterns of light. Within the immobilized crystalline armada, ships were beginning to pulse with new forms of energy, their crystalline structures resonating with quantum frequencies they'd never exhibited before. "Their ships are evolving," Rodriguez observed from his neural interface station. "The crystalline matrices, they're naturally quantum sensitive. They just never knew how to access that potential." High Admiral Khazar watched in disbelief as his flagship systems began responding to thoughts and possibilities rather than direct commands. The crystalline technology that had served as the backbone of Ziraxian military might for millennia was awakening to new possibilities. "Impossible," he whispered, but there was wonder in his voice rather than denial. The ship's consciousness, a feature they had never fully understood or utilized, was reaching out through the quantum mesh, connecting with other vessels in ways their rigid military hierarchy had never permitted. Vox Thor's holographic image appeared in the high command chamber, his bioluminescent patterns showing complex emotions their language had no words for. "The humans," he announced, "they knew. They knew our technology had this potential all along. That's why they didn't destroy us. They were waiting for us to evolve." In Earth orbit, the quantum mesh continued its work, not as a weapon, but as a catalyst for change. The biosynthetic AI had detected the latent quantum properties in Ziraxian crystalline technology months ago, but forcing the evolution would have defeated its purpose. The Ziraxians needed to discover this themselves. "Their younger scientists are already proposing new theories," Dr. Patel reported, scanning through incoming data streams. "They're beginning to understand that their crystalline technology wasn't just for weapons. It was meant to be a bridge between consciousness and reality." Chen nodded, remembering the early days when humanity had made similar discoveries. "The Prometheus signal showed us this path, but we had to walk it ourselves. Now it's their turn." Across Ziraxian space, research facilities that had focused on weapons development for centuries began shifting their focus. The quantum mesh shared not Earth's military secrets, but the fundamental principles that had led humanity to its current understanding of reality. "Admiral," Rodriguez called out suddenly, "we're detecting massive energy signatures from the Armada. But it's not weapons fire." The crystalline Armada was transforming. Ships that had been designed for destruction were reconstructing themselves at the quantum level, their crystalline structures achieving true quantum coherence for the first time. The process spread from vessel to vessel like a awakening. High Admiral Khazar stood transfixed as his flagship's bridge shifted around him, becoming something both familiar and entirely new. The tactical displays that had shown targets and weapon ranges now revealed the quantum interconnectedness of space itself. His mighty warship had become a vessel of exploration and discovery. "The humans," he said slowly, "they could have destroyed us at any time. Instead, he struggled to find the words. We showed you what you could become." Chen's voice came through the quantum mesh, now crystal clear as the Ziraxian ships had achieved true quantum communication. Your empire was built on the assumption that power comes from the ability to destroy. We wanted to show you a different kind of power. Dr. Patel's voice joined the conversation, her scientific excitement evident. Your crystalline technology, it's magnificent. We suspected it had these capabilities, but seeing it actually evolve, watching it achieve its true potential, it's beautiful. In the Zeraxian High Command, the chamber that had witnessed countless declarations of war was experiencing something unprecedented. Hope. The quantum mesh had connected their finest scientific minds with Earth's research networks, creating a dialogue that transcended traditional barriers of species and culture. Our entire civilization. Vox Thor addressed the chamber, his voice carrying the weight of revelation. We thought we were masters of technology, of warfare, of conquest. But we were children playing with forces we didn't understand. The humans didn't defeat us. They graduated us. The biosynthetic AI registered a fundamental shift in Zeraxian communication patterns. The rigid hierarchies that had dominated their society for millennia were giving way to more fluid, quantum-entangled networks of thought and innovation. Their crystalline technology, once trapped in patterns of destruction, was becoming a medium for transformation. They're ready, Dr. Patil announced, studying the data streams. The quantum resonance patterns are stabilizing. Their entire fleet, it's achieving collective quantum consciousness. Admiral Chen smiled, remembering humanity's own journey to this understanding. Then it's time for the final phase. Dr. Patil, initiate the Prometheus exchange. The quantum mesh began its most ambitious transformation yet, not of technology or physics, but of possibility itself. The Zeraxian fleet was about to discover that their journey had only just begun, and that the true power of their civilization lay not in the weapons they had built, but in the potential they had never imagined. The great chamber of the Galactic Conclave fell silent as Admiral Chen stepped onto the speaking platform. Representatives from 100 spacefaring civilizations watched intently, some with wonder, others with barely concealed fear. The events in the Sol system had sent shockwaves through the galaxy. 3 months had passed since the transformation of the crystalline armada. The platform beneath Chen's feet was itself a testament to change. Constructed from evolved Zeraxian crystal technology, it responded to thought and emotion, creating subtle patterns of light that reflected the mood of the chamber. We gathered here today, Chen began, her voice carrying clearly through the quantum-enhanced acoustics, not to celebrate a victory or mourn a defeat, but to mark a transformation. High Admiral Khazar, his crystalline form now shimmering with complex quantum patterns, stood beside her. The former commander of the crystalline armada had become one of the strongest advocates for change within Zeraxian society. For millennia, Khazar addressed the assembly. The Zeraxian Empire measured strength through conquest. We thought ourselves advanced, yet we were blind to the true nature of our own technology, our own potential. In the quantum physics lab aboard the diplomatic vessel that had brought the Earth delegation to the conclave, Dr. Patel monitored the proceedings through the ever-expanding quantum mesh. The biosynthetic AI had evolved far beyond its original parameters, becoming a bridge between different species' ways of thinking and perceiving reality. The quantum resonance is stable across all delegations, she reported to Lieutenant Rodriguez, who had accompanied the Earth mission. Even the species who were most resistant to these changes are beginning to understand. On the conclave platform, Chen continued. The Prometheus signal that reached Earth centuries ago wasn't just a warning about the dangers of conquest. It was an invitation to evolution and challenge to break free from the cycle of conflict that has dominated galactic history. The chamber's crystalline walls pulsed with new patterns as Khazar stepped forward. The humans could have destroyed our fleet, conquered our empire, or left us in our ignorance. Instead, they showed us that true power lies not in destruction, but in transformation. Holographic displays throughout the chamber showed the changes spreading through former Zeraxian space. Weapon factories had become research centers. Military academies now taught quantum physics and conscious computing. The rigid hierarchy that had defined their society for millennia had given way to a fluid network of innovation and discovery. But this is only the beginning, Chen addressed the assembly. The quantum mesh that once defended Earth now connects willing civilizations across the galaxy. Through it, we share not weapons or tactical advantages, but understanding. The ability to see reality not as something to be conquered, but as something to be explored and enhanced. Dr. Patel's voice came through Chen's private quantum link. Admiral, we're detecting interesting patterns in the chamber. The quantum resonance, it's spreading naturally now. They're beginning to evolve on their own. Chen smiled inwardly as she watched the representatives from various species beginning to understand. Their own technologies, developed along different evolutionary paths, were starting to resonate with the quantum possibilities humanity had unveiled. The choice before us is simple, she continued. We can cling to the old ways of power and destruction, or we can embrace a new kind of strength, the strength to change, to grow, to become more than we ever imagined possible. Khazar's bioluminescence pulsed with emotion as he addressed his former rivals and enemies. The humans taught us that true evolution isn't about developing better weapons or defenses. It's about expanding our understanding of what's possible. In the quantum physics lab, Dr. Patel watched in fascination as new patterns emerged in the quantum mesh. It's beautiful, she whispered. Each species is finding its own way to connect with the quantum reality. They're not copying us or the Ziraxians. They're discovering their own paths. The Galactic Conclave Chamber had become a testament to this transformation. Species that had been locked in centuries-old conflicts were beginning to communicate in new ways, their technologies resonating with possibilities they had never considered. We stand at a turning point, Chen concluded. Not the end of history, but the beginning of a new chapter. The Prometheus signal showed us that the greatest threat to civilization wasn't any external enemy. It was our own limitation in understanding what we could become. As she spoke these words, the quantum mesh registered a new phenomenon. The various technologies present in the chamber, Ziraxian crystals, Earth's quantum systems, and countless other innovations from across the galaxy, were achieving spontaneous quantum coherence. The transformation had taken on a life of its own. The old order of power through destruction is ending, Khazar declared. We invite you all to join us in exploring what comes next. In orbit above the conclave world, ships from 100 civilizations hung in space. Once, they would have been arranged in defensive formations, weapons primed. Now they formed an interconnected network of quantum consciousness, each contributing its unique perspective to a growing understanding of reality's true nature. Admiral Chen stood on the platform, watching as ancient enemies became partners in discovery, as weapons of war transformed into tools of exploration, as the galaxy itself seemed to awaken to new possibilities. The Prometheus signal had warned humanity about the dangers that awaited them among the stars, but it had also shown them how to transform those dangers into opportunities. In the quantum physics lab, Dr. Patel made one final entry in her research log. Today marks not the end of conflict, but the beginning of evolution. We have learned that the greatest power lies not in destroying what we fear, but in transforming it into something we never imagined possible. The quantum mesh hummed silently through space, carrying not orders or threats, but ideas and possibilities. Humanity had shown the galaxy a new path, but where it led would be up to all of them to discover together.